Let's get on with conversation about partnership. You'll see some fantastic speakers appearing shortly from organisations that need no introduction. HSBC, BT PLC, AstraZeneca, to name a few, a world-class investor in XeleratedFifty. Let's welcome out Nick Passey, Esra Demir, Chris Keone and Nichola Bates. Welcome one and all. And team, there we go, Nick in seat one, there we go, fab.
Wow, I think that was just really an amazing presentation. I think all the lightning talks are really been super inspirational. So we're going to switch gears and be talking about open innovation, and I'm joined by an esteemed panel with HSBC, BT, and also with XeleratedFifty to explore this topic. And I think it's really the role that corporates can play in open innovation and frontier technology, and also looking at both in terms of the opportunities, but also in terms of the risks as well. So I'm responsible for the health innovation hubs within AstraZeneca for the emerging markets, where there is tremendous potential to impact health, but then we also have multiple other industries here that we can also explore. So just in terms of the topics, what I want to just maybe start off with was really what's the role and the model for open innovation partnerships within these respective industries. So maybe Esra, if you could start off.
I usually summarize our role as the corporate innovators in big enterprises, where it touches multiple aspects of the society as three simple words. We are the grease, we are the glue, and we are the sorting head. So if things are not moving fast enough to make it meaningful for everyone, we accelerate. If things are falling apart or missing important aspects, so we became the glue. Or as we just discussed, if someone needs an introduction and we already know that one of the 200,000 people in our organization is the right person, we make it our job to go and find that person and introduce that to the person who is bringing some frontier innovation to the world so that it can be enabled through our organization.
Very similar at BT, and actually I've stolen that sorting hat quote from is that working? Let's use this one. I've stolen the sorting hat quote from Esra, because we are 120,000 strong organisation in BT. It's not always easy to know what is going on. We're the world's oldest communication company, and sometimes it feels like a lot of our processes are also 180 years old, as well as our sort of innovations. What's really kind of helpful for us at BT is and hopefully helpful to those that partner with us is we're one of the biggest infrastructure kind of organisations in the UK. We spent £25 billion over the last 5 years in building out connectivity for the UK. That gives lots of benefits to startups and scale-ups who want to come and start building with us and creating with us. But we have to, first and foremost, create the right conditions within an organisation of our size for that to be successful. It's one thing to say we're open for business. It's a very different thing to actually then be able to see those things go from a pathway to idea to reality. So it's our job. I run part of the organisation called Etc., which is an homage to the electric telegraph company, which we invented all those years ago. We are an innovation team. We are not the innovation team. We're not the only place that innovation happens in BT, nor should it be. We are the connector of all of those teams and organisations across the country and globally, actually.
Hi, I'm Nick Bates, and so XeleratedFifty isn't a household name yet, but we are the team that actually built the innovation practice and the CVC practice globally for the Boeing company, and have recently just spun out. And for us, and it was actually one of our innovation fellows that said that they like my guerrilla tactics, and I think that's a really good example or a good way to describe what we built at Boeing. We really saw ourselves as a way to go in there and shake things up. We always looked for the most troublesome employee that we could engage with, because really, I think, one of the biggest things that we were doing there was thinking about how do we really find the future of aviation. We've all talked about it. We've all been promised flying taxis. We still don't have them. So for us, it was about how do we actually get the innovators in the right places and really change the culture of the organisation. And I think that's one of the things that we forget as those working in open innovation, that one of our jobs is actually changing the corporate organisation that we work within. It's not just about bringing in new technology and helping innovators to get into our platforms, but actually about helping our colleagues not become institutionalised, to begin to change their mindset to find the way as opposed to follow the process and not do it. So I think that that's one of the things that we always have to remember as corporate innovators.
So maybe just to perhaps with this theme being around frontiers, perhaps it'd be interesting to hear some examples of like partnerships and solutions that you've been able to scale and the sort of impacts that you've seen in your respective industries.
I have a really great example here in the UK of a company that we invested in very, very early in their journey, and they're a hydrogen company. They're creating sustainable aviation fuel for us through the use of hydrogen. And the collaboration piece really came whenever we brought together through our program. We brought Boeing to the table, but we also brought a range of experts. So we brought some of the oil and gas majors to the table, and we also brought one of our tier 1 suppliers, Keone Aerospace. And through that process, we were working with them to help them understand how to better ingest innovation. What we didn't realise is that we inadvertently were also talking to the owner of Keone Aerospace, which was Melrose. By the end of our program, Melrose actually wrote a $10 million check to this very early stage startup, and that has been a massive unlock. So it was, again, that idea of serendipity, events like this, it brings together people that maybe ordinarily you wouldn't think had a role to play, and actually exposing them to what you're trying to do, and them just coming forward and saying, yeah, let's get involved, let's see what we can do.
I think that serendipity point is a great one as well, because I think you can set up the processes and conditions for those things to be right. But I've recently been part of London and Partners Innovation Fellowship, and actually even just the conversations that you have there and things that come out of those serendipitous moments of actually, we probably all know these industries exist and those problems are real. For us, I mean, we operate on many different horizons. If you look, we've been inventing in quantum secure communications, for example, for 30 years. We've got world-class research facilities. That's now starting to become real, and the conditions that we create there, and the deep customer understanding of what are the problems to solve. But we're not going to do that on our own. So I think that for telco in particular has been a big part of us, moving from we've got to invent everything ourselves to actually no, we need to come together and do things differently. And then on the the more sort of here and now extreme end, even just this morning we've announced a partnership with Starlink. The idea 5 years ago of a telco saying, we'll sell you broadband connectivity, but it's on our fibre, only on our fibre. The idea of us then going, actually, we're going to sell you someone else's connectivity technology, because there's been this mindset shift of what's the customer needs to solve and how might we solve it. That doesn't always have to start and end with us ourselves.
I think common theme there about looking across industries and getting inspiration, which I think also London and Partners help a lot with the Open Innovation Programme. So maybe Esra, do you have a thought?
Oh yeah, open innovation is, I thought it was just a theoretic explanation of how innovation could be done better. And I was blessed to be invited to be part of London and Partner Grow Open Innovation ecosystem. Then I know what it actually means. So it's about abandoning the idea that you have the greatest ideas and greatest minds in your own organization. In an 8 billion people Earth, you only have few 100,000 of them. And then actually when you bring unseemingly related two topics together, that makes the best fusion. So cheer up for the London Partners.
It's also a bit like therapy, right? Because there is a reality that we can sit here and say, oh, we're part of big businesses and it's great that we can innovate. Like, it's hard work, like to try and change that mindset in a very traditional organisation to say, and I love that, let's talk to the most disruptive. If my team are not causing problems for our lawyers and our procurement people, like they're not doing their job properly, because we should be disrupting.
So I think, there are tremendous opportunities, but I think we're just starting to veer into maybe like what some of the risks are, maybe related to collaborating with corporates. Maybe you want to explore that. I think like innovation theatre, intellectual property concerns, and so on. So any thoughts?
Yeah, and I think that's a real concern, and it's a real concern, especially when we're talking about these frontier technologies. And it's a fear for the startups, but it's also a fear for the corporates, because they also don't want to be embroiled. I mean, I know that in our early days, when we first created the CVC practice at Boeing, we were thinking about what is the next 100 years going to look like. So we were really looking very forward thinking. Whenever that program was kind of coming to its end, I will tell you that there was an office of laptops that were just piled up, waiting on the legals, because we were being sued everywhere for all different things. So it is a real problem. One of the things that we did, though, was we built something that we called the Boeing Champions Network, and that was the idea of bringing those really disruptive people, those technologists that really joined the company to change the world, and helping them understand how to do this safely, how to engage with early stage innovators in a way that isn't going to put anybody in fear of IP theft. Because I know in a previous life as a startup, I was on the wrong side of that. We did have that experience. It was a very real issue for me. But what we did was we put our champions through this training program to really help them understand what those challenges are and how to best deal with them. What that really resulted in was a really empowered group of people that still to this very day, even though I'm not inside the company now, they email us and they say, don't worry, we're holding the fort. We're holding the fort while you guys are cracking on the outside. We're still going. So it's really important, I think, that you address those issues head on. You have really open and honest conversations about it. And you also do the same with your innovators, because I think that they become really enthusiastic when they know they're talking to the Boeing chief engineer. They will literally share everything, and we're like, please don't do that. Please don't share everything. So it's that idea of the education on both sides to make sure that we're very transparent about what we're trying to do and what's the right way to do that.
I think the transparency thing is critical, and again, I think the risk element is you've got to get people comfortable with it. And when I say people, I mean our board, the people that are working on. I mean, there is a reality that we answer every single 999 call that happens in the UK. The idea of me, my team, startups tinkering in our network to try something cool and putting those things at risk, and the sort of brand heritage and risk around that. So again, it comes back to making sure that you build the sort of the psychological safety for the teams to one, be able to fail, whether that's with us on our own or with other partners, but also being really clear on what we are going to do and what we're not going to do, and sort of build the risk and governance frameworks around that. But I would say, to my earlier point of 180 years of processes, that governance has got to be designed specifically for innovation and specifically for open innovation. You can't just adopt a product development or procurement process. You've got to very diligently empower people to create the processes that work and the governance that is very lightweight, so we can move faster.
Yeah. When most of us, I think, are regulated in one way or other, and probably we think we are the most regulated industry. And then the other thing is that actually, we all are humans that are working in those companies and industries on those startups. And when we start to be able to relate to what we are discussing into some other life experiences through the open innovation framework, it actually de-risks it. So when I struggle to bring different business units to focus on the same goal, I start shifting the conversation from banking to McLaren's racing ethos on how they are not focusing on the aerodynamics or the engineering, but they are focusing on the lab time. And every single person is working for the lab time. So when you take everyone out of the banking context to put them into something, they are relating themselves as a human, not as a professional who is regulated, then it removes the barrier. Same thing with the efficacy and efficiency trials. When AI first started to become exciting and then daunting suddenly for the senior leaders, that was the mindset I was trying to help bring through my open innovation team to the leadership. So let's think differently. So we are actually releasing vaccines through a different mechanism. So why can't we think financial services and the AI within financial services through that lens? So I would urge everyone who thinks that the other industry has nothing to do with their industry to think differently and see how they might take the learnings from them and collaborate.
So I think we're just wrapping up here, but I think that's just a beautiful point that I think corporates really as part of the innovation ecosystem have I think tremendous potential. There are some areas absolutely where we're passionate and then working with startups, I think the kind of opportunities are really exponential in healthcare, in finance space, in telecoms and with these examples. So I think good to explore, and I think thanks to London and Partners for helping us develop our open innovation muscles as part of that. Thank you.